Okay, Daf Chav Bet Amud Aleph, by the two dots, 5 lines down. Hakelev Shanatal, the case where the dog took the cookie with the coal and burnt the item. Itmar, Rav Yochanan Amar, Isho Mishum Hetzav. In general, a person's fire is your chayav, your damage of your fire, because it's like your force, like your arrow, as if you shot an arrow. Rish Lakish Amar, Ishum Mishum Mamona, Rish Lakish says no, it's considered your chayav because it's like your property that's damaged. Rish Lakish might tell me, Rav Yochanan, how come Rish Lakish did not agree with you, Rav Yochanan, that it's like your arrows? He says, no, arrows physically travel through your force. Fire does not travel through your force. The reason why I don't hold like a property like Rish Lakish, because property has substance and fire doesn't have any substance to it. So now we're going to bring up a question from our Mishnah. A dog that took a cookie and put it on the fire, etc. Right? I understand your chayav according to the opinion of that that fire is considered like your arrows because your dog is like your arrow that did damage. But according to the opinion of that your chayav because it's like your property, but the fire doesn't belong to the property of the dog. Right? The fire is not the property of the dog. It belonged to whoever he stole the cookie from. Over here, we're referring to the case of the dog threw the cookie on top of the fire, on the coal, on top of the haystack. The al on the actual cookie because he ate it. And on the place where the coal landed, he's paying chatzi nezek because that's like strorot. And but the rest of the haystack that got caught in the fire, patur. Rabbi Yochanan can say, no, the case talking about where the dog put the thing directly on the haystack. For the cookie and for the place where he put it down, full damage. And the haystack is considered tzarot, and you're paying half damages. Tashma, good question. If my camel has flax on its back, right? It's laying across long, wide load. When it's walking, the flax went into a shop, right? The shop didn't have a door, it was just an open shop. And inside the shop, they had lights, candles. That's their lights back then. And it lit on fire. It lit the next door mansion on fire. The camel's owner is chayav because he should have been careful. Or he should have stopped the fire from going to the mansion. But if the shopkeeper had the lights, the candles outside, not my fault. The shopkeeper's chayav. Side note that it's case of Hanukkah and it hits the Hanukkah candles outside, you're patur because it's supposed to be outside. Regular candles don't have to be outside, Hanukkah candles should be outside. That makes sense according to that opinion holds that fire is like your arrows. Over here, it's the camel's arrows that did it, and therefore you're chayav. But according to the whole opinion that holds that fire is like your money or your property, it wasn't my fire. It belonged to the store owner. Referring to the case where the camel slowly rubbed the fire across the entire house's surface, and therefore it was the camel owner's fault because he should have stopped it. Within 1 second, the next part of the Mishnah says, if the case is where he rubbed it across the whole thing, then what makes difference? What would be the difference if in the second case, if the fire was outside? It still shouldn't be his fault. Why would the shopkeeper be chayav if the guy is letting his camel light the entire house on fire from beginning to end? More answers. What we're saying over there is that it didn't rub across the whole thing, but rather we're talking about where it stood in one place, and therefore the camel should have been pulled by the owner. All right, so we're gonna explain what that means. If it stopped and then it lit the whole thing, then for sure the shopkeeper should patur no matter what. It's the guy's fault. Let the camel sit and light the thing on fire. The Gemara says no. Not a simple case. The case is where the camel suddenly stopped to relieve itself, to urinate. Therefore, he couldn't stop it from lighting the thing on fire because it stopped, it refused to move while it was relieving itself. And therefore, if it's outside, the shopkeeper's payout because it caught on fire and it wasn't the camel owner's fault. All right, and therefore, the first case, the camel owner's payout because he shouldn't have made the load so large that it could have ignited. And in the second case, the shopkeeper's payout because it should have been outside. Someone set fire to a grain, to a haystack. What's there? And there was a goat there that was tied to the haystack and a slave in the room, and they all died. Chayav. Chayav on the haystack, and the goat, not the Eved. The Eved should have run away. Obviously referring to the case where he was able to. Eved kafud lo if the slave was tied to the haystack and the goat was nearby and they were all burned, patur. He's patur on everything because he's chayav mitah for killing the Eved, right? And there's a famous halacha, kimle b'derabemine, that if you have a capital offense and a monetary offense, right? If you're chayav mitah, but you're also chayav damages, we go according to the more severe punishment, which is the capital offense, death. So therefore, since he killed the Eved in this case, he was tired, he couldn't escape. You're patur from the haystack because he's chayav mitah. So the verse is Bishlam the Mar Isho Mishum Hisav. Makes sense according to the holds that fire is like your arrow, Mishum Hachi Patur. That's why you're patur, because you killed the Eved. And the Manda Amar Isho no, my patur. Why would you say if fire is considered my property, why do you patur from damages? You should be chayav. Ilu Kata Toreh Avda Hachanam Lo Hayav. My bull killed this Eved, and I would also be chayav. So why if my fire killed the Eved, I'm chayav mitanash and I'll be patur? What's this case talking about? He didn't light the Gedish and it traveled to the fire to the Eved. He lit the Eved first. He burnt the Eved alive first, and then it traveled to the haystack. The Kim and therefore he's Chayav Mitah first, and then the haystack, and therefore Kim makes him Patur. What's the Chidush? The Chidush of this Mishnah is telling you that it's a case where the goat belonged to one person and the Eved belonged to another person. And the Hidush is that Kim even applies to two different owners or to two different litigants. We might think that it only applies to one person. If someone killed someone and damaged their shirt while killing him, maybe you should be patur only in that case. Even if it's two separate litigants for the damage, monetary damage, and the capital offense, you're still patur. Tashma. This case before previously. In Kiddushin, most recently. Someone sent a fire, he gave a fire to Hashu, right? Hashu stands for Cheresh, Shotev Katan, deaf mute, person who's mentally ill, or a minor. He can't be chayav in court to pay for the damages, but Hashem will take care of him in Shemaim. Makes sense according to the opinion, he's patur because he holds like his arrows, fire if fire is arrows, and then the Hashu has the arrow, not me. But it's considered property. But according to the whole that it's considered property, if I gave my ox to a chashu, I'd be chayav because I was irresponsible me. So according to that opinion, hakaman patur. Where it says, the Mishnah is referring to a case where you didn't give him an actual flame, but you rather gave him a coal. And the hashu was the one who made it into a flame. But if he did give him a flame, you're fully chayav. Because it's already primed and ready to damage, and just like an ox would be. Rabbi Yochanan says, even that you're patur, a flame. Because I'm not doing the fire, the cheresh was walking away and he lit the thing on fire. However, therefore you'd only be chayav. Only time I'll be chayav if I hand him the flammable item, the flame into the actual flame, and the flammable item. If I hand him a nice canister of gas and a flame and I say, hey, go crazy, then I'm chayav because I gave all the tools in one shot. Okay. Amarava. Pasuk and the Brayta that supports Rabbi Yochanan. The Pasuk says, Ki teseh ish, teseh ma'atzma. Pasuk says that if the fire goes out, which sounds like it goes by itself. And the Pasuk ends off, that the one who lit the fire is chayav. Therefore, we see if the fire goes out, and then it says the one who lights it is chayav, which means you're chayav for your fire, just like your arrows. Matnit in the Brayta, that's the portion of Yochanan. Tanya Patah Ketub, because the Brayta says that the pasuk first started off Binis Kemamano, right? The damage is by his property. His fire went out, and it ended off Bisyam Binis Keguvo, and it says it ends off with the person himself, that the person's chayav. Teach you what you're chayav for your fire, just like your arrows. Marava asks a question. Kasha. The question going to buy the manda mar ishom mishum chitzav. According to the opinion holds that you're chayav for your fire, like your arrows. Tamun ba'esh to patarach manah mishkachla. What would be the case? Right, that would be the case according to the Torah. Right, we mentioned this before. Esh your chayav unless the item was hidden from view. The Torah says so. So what would be that case where something was hidden? And the Nabal himself gave an answer. A fire broke out in your yard. And the fence that was around that fire had not in coordination with the fire, and it wasn't connected to the fire, it had fallen down. And the fire went out and burnt a different yard. Over there, his arrows stopped. What does that mean? Because my fire shouldn't have gone to the next yard because of the fence that was there, and the fence fell down unrelated to my actions, then my property, my arrow, stopped by that fence. My fire stopped by that fence, according to halacha, and therefore I'm patur for the damage that happens next door. So the Gemara says 1 second. If that's the case, even if you look at it like that the fence was protecting it, and therefore if the fence falls down on patur, then even if it's galui, even if it's exposed, I should be patur for the same reason that my arrow stopped. Ella, rather, we're changing the whole thing. The one who holds that you're chayav for fire, just like your arrows, also holds your chayav because of your money. It's your property. So you're chayav for your arrow of your fire, for your property and your money. And the reason you're patur for hidden things will be in a case where it fell down unrelated and he was able to rebuild it, but he didn't rebuild it. The hatam sharohu v'lo tafach ba'peh. In that case, it's like he had an ox in his property that he didn't block, and therefore he'd be chayav. Now the Gemara says if he holds it both, right? He holds that his property and mamlon, property and arrows. According to the opinion now, they're saying that he holds that it's considered his arrows and his property. My benai, what's the difference between the two halachot? The Gemara says ik benai. The difference is in the scenario la chayvo ba'abad varim, whether or not he'd be chayav if whether or not he'd be chayav for the other 4 damages of a person. Meaning, in general, when a person hurts someone else directly, he's chayav 5 damages: damage, health, doctor bills, unemployment, embarrassment, etc. So according to Rish Lakish, who hold that it's your property but not your arrows, you're only paying for actual damage because it's my property. I didn't do anything wrong, right? It's it's like my ox. I'm not chayav for those things like my ox is. If my ox did it. However, according to the opinion who holds that it's because of money, it's like your arrow, which means it's you. So if I shoot my arrow, I'd be chayav on all 5 damages, including the other 4 things. So too, over here, regarding fire, also be chayav.